Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I have for you a 5-mask run with my BM Hunter in Orgrimmar this time. So as we go through the fights and mechanics, I'll also give you a slight breakdown on the mobs as well. Who to avoid, what not to avoid, those kinds of things. Here's a quick breakdown of my current stats right now. Should you pop a flask, eat food, currently you want to treat this as a raid or anything high mythic keys. It's more akin to a high mythic key more than anything else. So yes, I would highly recommend a pot. So here we go. Once you're ready, talk to Rathian, and we'll head on to our first mob. This mob pack isn't too bad. You want to kill the shaman here first. Like you see here, I'm just going for him. The little elementals, they don't really hurt that much. It's the shaman. He'll summon a totem, which can be annoying because it keeps pulling you back to it unless it's killed. Now the two guards in front of Thrall's room, you'll want to either CC one of them or you can take both of them. I chose to take both of them here because I have Gift of the Titans. Their main two abilities is they'll charge you and you'll have about a couple seconds to get out of the way, or it'll deal some sanity and major damage. The second is a warrior's fear, so try to be far away from it or kick it. Alright, this next mob here is consisting of a elemental, shaman, and two warriors. The warriors can be a little tricky if you let them wail on you, but if you misdirect to your pet, or if you don't have a pet, still get the shaman down first, as you don't want him free casting while you're killing the warriors. The warriors can be either CC'd. If you have a nice trap, throw it down. It's nice to CC and slow them as well while you're dealing with the shaman. Alright, on to our first area. We want to take out these 5 elementals. They go down pretty quick and they really don't hurt that much. It's straightforward, they really don't do anything. Okay, so for the boss, he only has 2 real abilities to worry about. You want to keep out for his little boomerang attack. He'll shoot out a blue bolt. It will come back along the same trajectory, so make sure you're not in the way when it comes back. His second ability is a shoulder charge or charge. You don't want to be in the way of that. Just make sure you get out of his way and he should go down without any problems. Alright, for this next part, you can see I mass pulled. If you are very confident in your pet, and by the way, I'm using a ferocity pet for the leech. I find it is the best pet to use in any type of vision run, due to the amount of heals that just instantly return to your pet. So these mobs consist of a few different types. You have a shaman, you have a mage, and then there's a big void walker. The big void walker has a cast you want to interrupt. It doesn't do too much damage, but if he keeps casting it, it will. One of the shamans will start to cast a torment. You'll want to kick that or just get out of its range. It's an AoE move that you'll want to not be in. It can soak your health down pretty quick if you're getting hit by it. So try not to stand too close to him. Now all these mobs surrounding the totems are all the same. They will have the Tormentor, That's the AoE guy, there's the shaman, and then there was the warriors from back at the main area. Now you can skip those two big guys that are guarding the boss, but unfortunately I whiffed the fire jump here and I got a bad orb location, which forced me that way, and I got pushed out here, as you can see, and stunned. But this boss, he's more of a skill check, and as you can see, I failed almost every skill check. Lol. But you don't want to get hit by the waves. As you can see, it stuns you, and it deals 60 sanity per stun. His other ability is the orb. He silences you, and you need to go where the orb is in order to get your abilities back. Alright, as we approach our next area, keep in mind this area does drain sanity a little bit quicker than the rest, but if your cloak is at 15, it shouldn't be too bad. We have our first mob here. This guy, we'll call him Meat Guy because you'll see him a lot in this video. They are everywhere. He only has one attack. It's an AoE targeted attack, so wherever you're standing, he will throw a AoE at you. The second type of meathead we have is the melee version. He puts an AoE at his location. Being a hunter, we don't really have to worry about that. Just move out of his range. If he does, you get aggro. Alright, so we have two meatheads and one meathead, sorry, and two tentacles. Now, as a hunter, the tentacles can be annoying because they keep spawning and they won't aggro to your pets. No matter what you do, you can't misdirect, can't do nothing. So all you can do is stand in melee range of them so they don't keep dipping up and down. That puts you at risk of, right there as you can see, my eye corruption. But other than that, you can stay in melee range and kill it. Otherwise, just keep hiding around. Now as for the pack before this boss, it consists of a meathead, a tentacle, and a bunch of crawlies. Crawlies are like every other vision crawly. They grow big and they hurt if they hit you. So you want to kite them, throw a tar trap down, slow them, or just get your aggro to misdirect everything to them. Alright, on to the first boss. This guy is a true tank and spank with two abilities. If you are a caster, you'll just want to avoid casting while he's casting his shout. His second ability is he will pull you to a destination. You have to get out of that area or he'll stomp on you, dealing massive sanity damage. But other than that, he's very easy and shouldn't pose a big threat. Alright, coming up to our trio here. You'll want to kill the middle guy as he casts Touch of the Abyss, which will stun you for quite a long time. The other two will fear, but it seems like the timing on that fear is based on their health. Not too sure because I always usually kill them before they can ever get a fear off. So I haven't really paid attention to when they fear. All I know is that they do fear. As for the pack before the boss, it's just a bunch of oozes, crawlies with the meathead. Avoid the AoEs that he throws at you. and get down the crawlies. Now on to the boss. He has two abilities that do the same thing. One is just much bigger than the other. One has a AoE puddle that stays on the ground. The other is a mass AoE that disappears after it hits. You do not want to get hit by the second one. It deals a ton of sanity damage. As always, just keep moving, and this boss will be yours. Now on to the third and final boss of this area. This boss has two unique attacks. One is a beam type move, as you just seen, and he has that AoE explosion. You'll want to avoid the AoEs that spawn under you and the big beam that he shoots. Now he also has a third ability, which is to summon a bunch of spears around him. You do not want to get hit by them, so position yourself accordingly, as they will shoot out in a perfect straight line from where he summons them. Keep in mind not to run too much, as your burn bridges could mess you up. So just stay on your toes and you should be fine. And once you're done killing the boss, he does spawn a bunch of ads. They are slow crawlies, so you can kite them very easily. Any type of AoE you have would work just fine on them. They don't pose too much of a trouble unless you let them hit you. They do have a buff that increases their melee damage, so you'll want to stay clear of them. Once you're done with all the ads, take the totem back to the main area where Thrall is, and say hello to the Eye of Sauron on your way back. Here I'm just checking to see if Gammon is in his hut. If he is, go ahead and pull him out, or you can sneak around from the left side of the hut without drawing that mob pack. Gammon himself is not too bad of a NPC. He has a few easy to dodge moves, which is a whirlwind and a charge. The charge doesn't really do too much damage, so don't worry about getting hit by it. But in the end, when he's down, he does give a very nice 10% HP buff. Now this mob pack up here contains a few crawlies and one warrior, which he has a shockwave stun. It is a fronto AoE, so you do not want to be in front of him. Circ around to the back if you are melee. Range, you can just outrange him while he's shockwave. Doesn't go that far, so you shouldn't get caught in it. Alright, so on to our third area. Here we'll be greeted by a tentacle and two NPCs. The two guys will fear at a certain time, so do not waste time taking them out or you'll get fear chained. The tentacle can be tanked, quotation mark, tanked by staying in its melee range and just letting it beat on your pets. It will aggro to your pets if you are in the melee range. And now on to the first boss. This boss has two abilities. He has a mean beam, which just pushes you back, deals very little damage, but it's the AoE on the ground. It cascades and moves in the direction that he cast it at. So keep in mind when you're getting pushed by the beam to strafe left or right of the AoE puddles. In this next area, you'll find a hut. It's where you can get our 10% crit buff. Now this guy is just a mage. He will cast arcane missiles, and it's pretty much a done deal for him. He's not that hard to kill. So once you get it, then that's an extra 10% crit. Now on to the next pack here. We got another meathead. Another mage that does cast Touch of the Abyss, which will stun you for a long time. So make sure you target him down first, then take out the meathead. Next pack will have a tentacle. a crawly, and another melee NPC which will fear you. So make sure you pick out one that most threatening to you. I like to go after the fear guy first in that mob. Then I'll take out the tentacles, since it really doesn't bother you too much unless you're standing still, which as a hunter you shouldn't really be standing still. Alright, we'll open up the doors. I'll come back for this NPC later, as I always clear this big group just in case I get hit. Now you'll want to take out the mage guy first. You don't want him stunning you. I usually take out mage, fear guy, then the meathead. Once they're all down, go ahead and go back for the NPC that came out of the door. This guy is a typical warrior. Just attacks and attacks and attacks. Doesn't really have any special abilities, so go ahead and take him out however you see fit. Open the last two doors, and it's boss battle time. This boss can be extremely annoying if you do not have the DPS to fully burst him into his bubble phase. You will have to deal with his mechanic, which is he fires a bunch of void bullets at you, and if you get caught by one, it will stun you and deal a ton of sanity damage. So you'll want to burst him as much as you can during this first phase and force him into his bubble. Destroy the bubble and he will start his void bullets, as you can see there. Now he does predict where you're going, so you'll need to swerve back and forth as I did there. Try to do as much DPS during the void bullet phase so that you can force him into his bubble. Once he goes into bubble, just wail as much as you can on him, and hopefully you can get him down before he starts his void cast again. If not, then just remember to stay one direction until he starts predicting your movements, and then cross back. Once we're done, we'll head over to the next area where we will be greeted by a big old bear. Now the bear itself does not have too much abilities. She casts a poison dot on you and an AoE. But as a range, you don't have to worry about the AoE unless you're the only target. In that case, you just have to move out of it. After she goes down, it spawns a bunch of scarabs on the ground. Go ahead and MD the scarabs to your pets. At this point, you can either cross pull like I did and focus down the big guy with all the scarabs, or you can just take them down one at a time. It's up to you. Now all the scarabs here deal poison nature damage, so you'll want to either avoid all AoEs, kick their casts, but the easiest way is to just avoid the AoE on the ground. I like to save my interrupts unless I really need them. So at a certain percent in the scarab's life, it will start a self-destruct, which is that green circle on the ground. You'll want to avoid that. The big spiders will cast the AoE on the ground that you see constantly. Just move on out. They're exactly like the meatheads, except in spider form. So nothing too different here, just to be careful of the AoEs, and you should be fine. Now for the second boss. This boss has a multi-AoE attack, so you'll want to avoid that. The pattern is random. I haven't really seen it too much. His second ability is a acid spray. It's for melee range. As you can see, I'm not taking any damage right there. That's because I actually outranged the graphics of it. Not sure why they made it so long, but yeah. Alright, for this next pack, this pack can end your run, so to speak. You need to be very careful with this Swarm Hunter. It needs to go down the leader, then the big guy. The Swarm pack will stun. As you can see, it will stun, and the big guy will knock you back. Now, if he knocks you back into a lot of mobs, it can create a big mess. But the Swarm leader does hurt a lot, so you do want to take him out as soon as you can. Use as much AoE as you have, and single target down the leader. And now on to everyone's favorite boss, Rexxar. Rexxar alone is not a bad boss. What makes him really tough is the Void Piggies that he spawns, or he calls into battle more like. It charges you and has a knockback effect. Also, the pigs will cast like some quill move that needs to be either kicked, stunned, or massively AoE'd in order to get them down. If not, left unchecked, those pigs will drain your sanity faster than you can say what happened. So off to the start, you can see I threw an ice trap there. It traps the first pig, which lets me burn down one of them really quick. Then I go to the next pig, start getting him down. The pigs will start to spawn every certain interval of Rexxar's health. So the faster you burn him, the faster the pigs will come out. So that's actually contrary to what you want to do to this boss. You really want to DPS him down slowly, deal with the pig, then DPS him down a little bit more, deal with another pig. But if you have confidence in your AoE ability, you have confidence in your single target, that you can burst down 113,000 HP in less than a couple seconds, then by all means go for the method that I just shown you, which would to nuke him as much as you could in the beginning to force spawn 2 pigs. Then I could get the 2 pigs down really quick and just deal with the other 2. While I'm clearing trash here, we can start going over the Thrall fight. First off, he's going to have 2 pigs from Rexxar by his side, which need to be dealt with first and foremost. And also keep in mind that he has the beam from the second boss that we killed, so you'll want to avoid that beam. The pigs can be CC'd, so go ahead and trap one, slow one, polymorph. Once the pigs are down, make sure you avoid that beam. He will start to cast it, as you can see there, and it leaves puddles on the ground that does sanity damage if you're in it. Now here's his first ring. You'll want to be in the light area of it. The dark side will give you sanity damage if you're stuck in it. Here we have his Void Shield from the third boss we fought. If you can break his shield, then he'll start his next ability. If you don't break the shield, then it will explode and deal damage. Once the shield's broken, he will immediately go into another ability, either ring or the beam, as you can see there. But he will keep cycling through all of the bosses that you've killed abilities, and it will be random, so you just need to stay on your toes and avoid each one. Now the most tricky one I think is the beam, because sometimes when you're in the rings trying to get out of it, you really don't pay attention to Thrall sometimes, and he does get you in the beam, which will stun you heavily and deal a lot of sanity damage because you're just sitting in that puddle. But if you keep a cool head, you should be able to down him fairly easy if you just pay attention to his mechanics. And with that, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who has watched the video, and I hope it brings you some success in your next orgrimmar 5 mask run. And again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.